So many times I think that people are scared to share their story. And so they feel like they are just kind of stuck carrying this incredible burden all by themselves. To have somebody come alongside that is not scared to hear the story, that is willing to get into the muck with them and see them and not disregard them, I think is so important.
My name is Tawana Williams, and I am the Awareness Advocate and Mental Health Therapist at the Percy and Don Malone Child Safety Center.
My name is Krista Neal. I am a licensed marriage and family therapist and licensed professional counselor.
I am Ashley Levine, mental health therapist at the Percy and Don Malone Child Safety Center.
My name is Adam Mason. I'm the owner of Refuge Counseling of Arkansas here in Arkadelphia. And I am a licensed professional counselor. I've been in the mental health field for about 17 years. A couple years ago, I had the opportunity to work at the Percy and Donna Malone Child Safety Center. Then over the last several years, I've had the opportunity to be a clinical supervisor for several of the therapists that are working there at the center with the kids there.
At our center, we provide evidence-based trauma models. And so PCIT is kind of for the younger folks that we serve. And then I see EMDR as more for the older teens, older adolescents that we're serving. And PCIT, it's actually parent-child interaction therapy. And it is a model that focuses heavily on the parent-child dyad. I think it's wonderful. I've seen it transform families and lives. There's a lot of focus on building a strong caregiver-child relationship, and that's just such a healing piece for kiddos that have experienced trauma and adversity. It's evidence-based for kids 3 through 7, so we can bring in 3-year-olds and do this evidence-based trauma model and help empower the parent to build a stronger relationship, which is so healing to them, and then also to implement healthy and structured discipline strategies.
TFCBT, or trauma-focused cognitive behavioral therapy, it is a short-term therapy that focuses on specific traumas that that child wants to focus on. We go through and work through this process of going through the thoughts and feelings about the traumas, getting to a point where they tell their story in a unique way, and they can share it with their family members or friends if they would like. And we do coping skills and introduce new coping skills to them for trauma reminders and things that come up. So it's a very unique model, and it's shown to be very effective in the research of bringing down the trauma symptoms that have been identified by them. So we do a child and adolescent trauma screen, or CATS assessment, which usually every client that comes through our doors, and that CATS score tells us if this child is showing trauma symptoms in a clinical range. If they are in a clinical range, we would recommend TFCBT or a trauma-informed therapeutic service for this child. And that is what we use to scale and see what clinical range they're in, and we can measure that throughout the therapeutic process to see if that number goes down. And ideally, if the TFCBT is being effective, that number is going to go down throughout the process.
And EMDR is eye movement desensitization and reprocessing therapy. So it's a big mouthful. It's just a little different than TFCBT. I think a lot of times the older teens are kind of on the upper edge of responding as well to TFCBT, and so EMDR brings in other strategies for them processing their trauma.
It is so important for clients to have trauma-based therapy, trauma-trained therapists, trauma-trained teachers.
I worked with a lot of kiddos and teens that they have many presenting symptoms. So a therapist that isn't trained to recognize those as trauma-related symptoms maybe will miss that. They'll maybe misdiagnose or possibly label a kid as a behavior problem or some other negative label. And really the kid is just out crying or experiencing trauma reminders or being triggered. Their body is responding to the trauma that they've had, and then it's just seen. It's just seen in an incorrect way.
I think that the importance of going to a trauma-informed therapist kind of comes down to making sure that the treatment fits the issue. And it provides a safer opportunity, I think, for the client not to feel minimized in their experience.
I have had the honor of seeing our therapeutic service make a difference in several of the clients I've served. Their resilience, their tenacity that I see is so heartwarming. I've had clients who were closed off and guarded open up to be able to share and express things that they never have. I take it very seriously that they consider me a safe person to share some of the hard things that to process. And then I get to walk through them on that healing process. They're not walking through it by themselves. I tell all of my clients that healing is not a destination, it's a journey. And that journey is something that you're going to walk through even after this process. But now you'll walk through it with tools in your belt that can help you throughout your lifetime.
When a trauma and abuse happens to a kid, no matter how that caregiver is connected to the person that's hurt their child, it impacts them. And so they'll come in, feel like a failure as a parent. That relationship has often been strained. The kid maybe didn't tell for years, and then the parent feels like a failure. The kid maybe felt like they couldn't trust their parent to handle it. And that's just a piece of what I've loved to see in therapy, is see the family heal. I've also loved to see clients realize that what has happened to them, that chapter of their life, is not what defines them. It's so wonderful at the end of our treatment to be able to kind of have the client look back and see that moment and season in life where the trauma was so overwhelming, and now it's just a piece of their story. Now it's something that is in the rear view. It's still true, and it still is a piece of what makes them who they are, but it's no longer what is going to define them or keep them stuck.
To be supportive of loved ones that have been through trauma experiences, it's very important, first of all, that you let them know that you believe them.
I truly have come to believe that just being willing to sit with a person, to sit with them in their pain, to hear their pain, that is so healing. When we know we aren't alone, I mean, that is one of the factors in resiliency, is it knowing that we have support, we have other people to buffer us. And so, yeah, I think just truly being a friend and allowing that person to process however they need to.
A lot of times when someone is sharing something, they're not looking for a quick solution. They're not looking for someone to tell them what they need to do. They are just trying to talk. So I feel like holding space and say, what do you need from me? Maybe even a question that someone could ask. How can I be most helpful to you? That can be so helpful for someone who's experiencing trauma, because it's like, oh, they're holding space for me. And that is transformative in someone's life who is going through traumatic events.
If you've experienced trauma or been through an abusive situation, do not be afraid to attend therapy. Don't worry about the stigma. Don't worry about what other people say. There's a lot of those labels placed on people who go to therapy sometimes, but those don't matter. You want to walk forward and begin your healing and your process, and therapy is a wonderful way to get started with that.